Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. In this one, I'm taking a look at Shuri, and she got quite an upgrade with her newest uniform, going from pretty much a useless character or just a support to actually a standalone character and a great support. If you've already watched the video on Shuri, I also included some PvP testing at the end just to make it a little bit more interesting. When a character gets their T3 and was previously just T2, the first thing that I do is to get the new uniform and to see if they can do World Boss Ultimate with it. This usually gives me a good idea on how the character will perform once I T3 them and get them upgraded further, and as you can see from these clips, she's able to beat Stage 99 Thanos with well over 2 minutes left, which is really good since most characters that aren't T3 and get their new uniform usually finish with about roughly 60 seconds or a little bit over that with time remaining. After that, I usually take them into either Proxima or Call Obsidian, depending on the type of damage that they deal, just to get an idea of how good the CC effects are, such as for chaining them together to lock down the opponent, as well as to see how much of a factor the all defense down can make. As you can see from this finish time of almost 4 minutes and 20 seconds left, the character has a lot of good CC effects, as well as up to 60% all defense down that ignores immunity, which explains why she finishes this stage much faster than the Thanos stage where that doesn't play a factor. By the way, all of the testing that I did for the character, unless I say otherwise, is with no damage proc. With the T3 skill unlocked, she's able to shave off about 50 seconds from her clear time, but it's not totally clear because she is very close to that 3-minute mark, which I would say is the kind of limit based off the phase changes and the animations. Funny enough, her clear time didn't really change on Proxima. It was about 10 seconds faster with the T3, but she's already clearing it in close to 30 seconds anyway, so you won't really see the difference here. With the new uniform, the character got massive offensive increases, including skill damage and bonus damage on the uniform passive, a damage buff on the 5th skill, 4th skill, and a single skill damage buff on the 3rd skill, as well as ignore dodge and chain hit on her passive, as well as a buff to her team passive that gives her even more damage versus villains. Besides this, when you get her to T3, you also gain damage accumulation from the T3 skill. And to top it all off, she has the leadership tag, meaning that you can benefit from White Fox as a support. To boost her survival, they not only gave her a ton of partial iframes, but now she also has up to 40% increased defenses from her uniform passive and up to 40% damage mitigation or less damage taken from villains and a 30% heal on the 4th skill. Because of this, she can deal a high amount of damage and still be fairly durable because most of the bosses tend to be villain types. The character is really proc friendly. I would say that she is probably one of the most proc friendly characters that I've tested. So if you want to build her with a single skill damage proc like an energy or destruction, you can do that, especially because she also has super armor, so you'll be less likely to be guard broken even if you do use the CTP of energy. However, if you are planning on using the character for Alliance battle modes, which she can do because of all the CC effects that she has, a CTP of Rage will likely give you the best value there. I was able to finish Stage 9 of Knull with a little over 2 minutes, which shows you that the character has a lot of potential for PvE. As I've mentioned before, if you've seen any of my other videos, for my account, any character that can complete Stage 9 of Knull with no leadership or supports, excluding, I guess, the character's own supports, if they can do that within about 2 minutes to 2 minutes and 20 seconds, then the character shows a lot of promise for PvE content. I've seen several players compare Shuri to Kamala, which I have as well, because they are both speed types, humans, and have the leadership tag, and both do phenomenally well in PvE content and are free-to-play characters. However, with that said, there is a slight distinction between the two characters, or at least one that I've noticed from the testing that I did, in that Kamala is a better standalone character, and Shuri is slightly behind her, but also gives you the added benefit of providing support to your other characters. The reason I mention this is because I wasn't really able to clear Stage 29 with no damage proc and with over 60 seconds left, whereas I could do that with Kamala. Still, the fact that she can do the stage with no build is pretty awesome. I also forgot to note that the other similarity for Kamala Khan and Shuri is that they're both really proc friendly. Because of this, and because I wanted to test her performance in PvP a little bit, I decided to equip a mighty CTP of Destruction with the Strike proc. As you can see, from this build, I was able to shave off a little over 2 minutes and 15 seconds from her clear time. Because she did so well, I had to bump up the stage a little higher just to see what her cap in performance was. I was able to finish a stage 49 with over 60 seconds left, and remarkably enough, going 10 stages higher, she still had enough burst damage for that final phase of Knull to be able to beat him with close to 20 seconds left. I didn't have this stage unlocked when Kamala's uniform was out, so you won't really find it in that video, but I have used her on this stage and she has cleared it a little bit faster than Shuri, which is one of the reasons why I mentioned that Kamala is a bit better as a standalone character, but Shuri does give you that added value as a support for other characters. I tried to see what the highest stage possible for the character was for my account and the stages that I have unlocked, and that was a stage 64 of Mephisto, which she actually cleared with about 1 second left. So the fact that this character can do such a high stage as a solo character and also provide you that support value is pretty amazing. If you're wondering what the most ideal rotation for the character is with a single skill damage proc, you do 5 and delay cancel after she throws out all those mines or gadgets, and then you do 4, cancel 3. When you have your ultimate skill unlocked, you simply use that first. It is instantly cancelable, but besides that, it has a pretty long delay before the damage starts, which means that you can go into your regular rotation of 5, delay cancel 4, cancel 3, and you will very reliably still trigger the proc on the third skill without activating it earlier. If you want to fill up your ultimate a little bit faster, you can also cancel the first and second skill before your rotation. Just keep in mind that if you are using something like a Mighty Energy or Destruction, you'll also have about 1 less active second on your top proc because you did that. On the speed advantage day, I was able to beat Dormammu in almost 5 minutes, which is actually really good and almost on par with some level 80 characters. If you want to use the character in Alliance Battle Extreme, you definitely can do that because she has the CC effects for all of these seasons, including Burn, Paralysis, and Silence. Although I did mention that Kamala Khan is just a little bit ahead in terms of the standalone performance, in Alliance Battle Extreme and Alliance Battle Legend, Shuri is actually a little bit more proc friendly because her rotation has most of her skills and damage delayed until the third skill activates, whereas for Kamala Khan, she actually throws out these AoE orbs, which can trigger the proc early because of all the enemies that are around the main boss. So in other words, if you are using an energy or a destruction for either of those characters, Shuri is by far much easier to proc on the skill that you want and potentially get a higher score. In ABX, I was able to score past 9 million, which means that with a full build and probably a rage, you can score past the 10 million mark, and likely even higher than that if you have a decked out build. The other nice thing about the character is that she does have Fracture in her kit, meaning that you can use her in Alliance Battle Legend without swapping her out for one of the seasons. However, she unfortunately doesn't have Snare for the other season. This is still pretty good and actually pretty useful in the future when another speed type emerges that might be meta but doesn't have these effects, since you can still use Shuri as a support and activate that Fracture effect. Again, with that mighty CTP of Destruction, I was able to score close to 3.1 million, and I've even seen that some people have scored past 4.5 and even 5 million with a CTP of Rage. Like I mentioned in the start of the video, I also tested the character in PvP. Even though clearly she doesn't have a PvP kit, she can serve some purpose as a support for your other characters. However, I kind of suspect that the character might get a synergy uniform that makes her useful for PvP, so I wanted to see what her current kit was capable of. Because the character doesn't have an iframe ignore, she'll basically just be sitting there if the opponent iframes, which is one of the reasons why I went with a CTP of Destruction, since you want to be able to take out the opponent before they do the same to you. I would recommend a CTP of Destruction for most players, since the character opens up with her quick 4th iframe skill, and then usually follows with the 5th skill, but you can clearly see that she has plenty of damage with that and the proc, since I was able to take out a Sentry, a Thanos, and even a Hulk. I guess alternatively you could also use a Mighty CTB Authority and try to stack up that mitigation or the steal effect with her own villain mitigation. However, I don't really think she has enough survival to fill up that steal effect, and it will only work versus villains. I wasn't really expecting the character to do much in Alliance Conquest. However, on the Mephisto Dormammu stages, she was able to take them out. Unfortunately, on the second life, she took a lot of damage from the Reflect, and because she doesn't have iframe ignore, Mephisto could just constantly keep iframing, and she basically ended up dying that way. I tested her again, this time on a stronger team that had a Proxima support, and I also added M'Baku as a support. However, she was able to wipe the stage, but she again wasn't able to win the stage. Overall, I'd say that this is probably one of the highest value uniforms that you can get for a character in this game, and I would recommend it for free-to-play players or really any players. The only two reasons that I can think of to delay getting this uniform is if you want to wait and see if she gets a synergy uniform that makes her still be good as a solo character, but potentially also adds some PvP value to her. And the other would be that if you don't need another support for endgame characters right now, you can wait a few weeks, maybe I think it's 2 or 3 weeks now, till the Black Friday sales occur, and you can get her for a discount. Either way, I would definitely add this uniform to your list, since she's basically just one step removed from being a triple threat. Or in other words, strong in PvP, a standalone character in PvE, and a support character. But 2 out of 3 definitely isn't bad, especially considering all the CC effects that she has for the different game modes, including Alliance Battle, the super easy and proc friendly rotation, and the awesome standalone damage too. That was the review for Shuri. The next one that I'll be looking at is for Riri Williams, otherwise known as Ironheart, as well as M'Baku. I'll probably bundle those together so that you can see how the characters compare at T2 and whether M'Baku might potentially end up being better than Ironheart once he eventually gets his awakening or T3. That does it for this one. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, then please consider doing so. It's free, it doesn't cost you anything, and it helps me out. If you have subscribed, then maybe consider sharing this video so other people can find out, and this video might help them out and they can subscribe. If you enjoyed the video, please also consider liking it so I know that you did enjoy this kind of content and I can get an idea of what kind of videos to make. Either way, thanks for watching. I appreciate your time, but the video is now over.